Hello! This video contains 10 minutes of useless information about the Sonic the Hedgehog series that myself and some friends have compiled together. The two main sources of information for this video, alongside my crazy ass moments in Sonic the Hedgehog history account, were the Sonic Wikizone and Sonic Retro websites, which were invaluable and I highly recommend that you check them out and support them however you can. Alright, let's do this. The original Sonic the Hedgehog game was released a week and a half earlier than its official launch date, with some retailers in California selling the game on June 11th, 1991. Dreams Come True, a band consisting of Sonic 1 and 2 composer Masato Nakamura and Miwa Yoshida, created a tour poster in 1990 featuring Sonic, which is his earliest known public appearance. As for Sonic's first appearance in a video game, that honour goes to 1990's Rad Mobile, where he is an ornament in the player's vehicle. What is the most obscure ring in the Sonic series? Arguably, it's the revival ring from Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood. As its name suggests, the player can use it to bring a defeated team member back into battle, as well as restoring 10% of their maximum HP. Some concept art of Dr. Eggman's redesign for Sonic Adventure depicts him with a robotic arm, similar to the version of the character that appeared in the 1993 animated series. In 2022, a man in Florida attempted to rob a bank while wearing a Sonic the Hedgehog mask. They failed, ran away, and remain at large to this day. Tommy Tallarico, a self-proclaimed veritable industry icon, claimed that he was the first American ever hired to work on the Sonic franchise. This was a lie, as the first Sonic game that he worked on was released in 2009, over 15 years after the actual first Americans were hired to work on the series. There is also strong evidence that he plagiarized his work on the soundtrack, which you can read more about here. Eggman has nearly been assassinated via a sniper rifle twice in Sonic comics. The first instance by Tails, and the second by Whisper the Wolf, who was subsequently talked out of it by Cream the Rabbit. A minor earthquake hit South Wales in February of 2023. A local resident named Bethany reached out to the news outlet Wales Online to discuss their experiences, and talked more about Sonic Frontiers than the earthquake, in which they stated, "My house started shaking a little bit too much for a little bit too long, and by that I mean a moderate amount for a few seconds. I felt my room shake. It was scary. And in my tired state, I thought that the final boss from Sonic Frontiers had manifested in the real world. However, common sense then hit me and I realised it was just an earthquake. Although given that this is Wales and we don't tend to have earthquakes, a video game boss becoming real seemed more likely. Ultimately though, I am alright, and it just gave me a little fright. I think the biggest casualty was my Sonic poster getting knocked off the wall, but it's alright. The poster has returned to its special place above my bed for me to be able to look at Sonic 24/7. Thank you for listening to my experience." Gary Chalk, the voice of Grander in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Robotnik in Sonic Underground, returned to the franchise after 21 years in a live-action role as the Navy's Chief of Staff in the film. In the GameCube and PlayStation 2 versions of Shadow the Hedgehog, Maria Robotnik is playable in the stages The Doom and Lost Impact, where she can run at high speeds as well as smash tough objects and enemies by slapping down on them. She can also damage enemies by jumping into them, though it has to be very close. This is the only game in which she is playable, and makes her the first playable female human in the Sonic series. Danica Patrick, the most successful woman in the history of American open-wheel car racing, is a playable character in Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. Fang the Hunter has a sister in the Archie comic books, who has a ship that is nearly identical to the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars, with her claiming that she gained it from an ex-boyfriend. This could potentially imply that either Han Solo or Lando Calrissian was her ex in that continuity. Japanese hip-hop group M-Flow promoted the release of Shadow the Hedgehog with a music video of their song Tripod Baby, containing alternate lyrics to reference Shadow, as well as a photo shoot and advertisement. John Carpenter revealed himself to be a huge fan of the Sonic series during an interview with Fact magazine, stating that he even likes the one where he turns into a werewolf. There are two references to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in Sonic the Hedgehog comics, one for the "You Are Already Dead" meme in Archie's Off panel, and another of the "Oh, you're approaching me?" meme in IDW. The Shadow the Hedgehog video game was announced with a trailer that depicted him gunning down Sonic's legacy at his induction into the Walk of Game. Takashi Iizuka nearly died as a result of developing Sonic Heroes by himself for the latter half of its development. He stated that, "The level design for Sonic Heroes was made by two people, me and one other person. As we got to the later stages of development, this other person got pretty sick and didn't show up to work, so level design was made by one person. So for those very last stages of the game, I didn't sleep at all and I was constantly working. I lost about 22 pounds because I was just cranking away and it was just work, work, work. I didn't sleep because I had to finish the game on my own, almost dying." Similarly, the lead programmers of Sonic Extreme, Chris Sen and Christina Coffin, became seriously ill as a result of working on the game, and were forced to leave the project, which was a major contributing factor to its cancellation. A demonic version of Sonic named Zodic appeared as a boss in Illbleed, a horror game for the Dreamcast. It spin dashes and drops rings when damaged. Sonic's middle name in the Archie comics is Maurice. The Sonic Mania development team snuck a voice clip of YouTuber Video Game Donkey into Hydro's City Zone. Sega decided to make Super Sonic unlockable in Sonic Forces through paid DLC. After online backlash from fans, they reverted the decision and made him free to download forever. The first playable appearance of Sonic as a 3D model was in Sonic 3D Blast for the Sega Saturn, specifically in its special stage. The second is in Christmas Nights. Tails and Dr. Eggman are the only characters who are addressed by their nicknames, with their full names of Miles Prower and Dr. Ivor Robotnik being used far less. Originally, the playable teams in Sonic Heroes would have consisted of Sonic, Tails and Knuckles, Amy, Cream and Rouge, Espio, Charmy and Vector, Fang, Bean and Bark, Metal Sonic, Ray and Mighty. The last two teams were cut from the game due to time constraints. In the Mega Drive games, the letters KTE, Knuckles the Echidna, are by his life icon instead of Knuckles, because the name display could not support more than 5 letters. Sonic Adventure is the first Sonic game to ever feature downloadable content, as the Dreamcast was the first ever video game console to have online capabilities out of the box. DLC ranged from celebratory holiday decorations in the adventure fields and a few levels, such as on Christmas and Halloween, to national ranking contests and the addition of the Chow Black Market. Amy Rose appears in the French guide for Sonic and Knuckles, even though she makes no appearance whatsoever in the game itself. In that guide, it was said that Amy had been kidnapped by Knuckles. Originally intended to be released in July of 2010, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Episode 1 was delayed after test versions for the major consoles were slowly leaked. Fans reacted negatively to certain gameplay aspects and level gimmicks, causing the game to be pushed back to October 2010, with the iOS release and other mobile versions of the game retaining level gimmicks from the leaks. Sonic the Hedgehog Awakening is arguably the most mysterious cancelled game in the franchise, with its only ever mention being on the website of Silver the Hedgehog's original voice actor, Pete Capella. In reprinted versions of Archie's Knuckles the Echidna issue 15, Charmy's purple blood is edited out. Rouge the Bat's name is a pun on the capital of Louisiana, Baton Rouge. The term meatbag, one that Omega used on several occasions in Sonic Chronicles The Dark Brotherhood, is well known for being used by HK-47, who debuted in the game Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic in 2003, another game developed by BioWare. Coincidentally, Omega and HK-47 made their worldwide video game debuts in the same year. The Doctor Who novel Business Unusual features a confusing reference to Sonic the Hedgehog. Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart is aware of the character and the original game, despite the events of the story taking place in 1989, 2 years before Sonic 1 was released. This could imply that in the Doctor Who universe, the game came out in 1989. Tails has had the most voice actors out of all the characters in the franchise, with 9 English voice actors, including his TV show and movie appearances. In multiple episodes of Breaking Bad, Jesse Pinkman can be seen playing Sonic games, such as Sonic 06 and Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing. In the English manual for Knuckles Chaotix, Charmy was labelled as being 16, however, since the release of Sonic Heroes, his age was retconned to 6. Espio is the only animal character in Knuckles Chaotix to have been created originally for that game, as Vector, Mighty, Charmy and Knuckles had all appeared, or in Vector's case were planned to appear, in previous media. Metal Sonic has a mouth on the American box art of Sonic CD, as well as early issues of the Archie comics. Towards the end of Sonic Colors, the Miles Electric screen is shown, with the bottom line of code translating to, "If you can read this, you're a geek." In The Magic Hassle, an episode of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, sound effects from the incredibly obscure and relatively unknown game Super Mario Bros. Can be heard as Robotnik uses a computer. The sound effects are heard again in Attack on Pinball Fortress.
I'll make it so that every Mobius bill will have my dazzlingly cruel face on it.
Eggman has occasionally been depicted as somewhat of a rapper. Examples include the background music for Metallic Madness in Sonic CD and Sonic Mania, as well as the 2023 edition of Sonic Central. In all 3 of these, he has a recurrent theme of boasting about his inventions like his badniks and his mechs, as well as his evilness and his new plan to defeat Sonic and conquer the world. If you do not move, jump, spin dash, or peel out for 3 minutes when playing Sonic CD, you will get an instant game over as Sonic jumps from the screen, seemingly killing himself.
I'm out of here!
Sonic Frontiers is the first game in the Sonic the Hedgehog series to be localised in Brazilian Portuguese, though this is in subtitles only. The Sonic and Need for Speed franchises have a lot of similarities, one example being Shadow the Hedgehog and Need for Speed Most Wanted releasing on the same day. Silver the Hedgehog, Jet the Hawk, Cream the Rabbit, Big the Cat, Espio the Chameleon, Rouge the Bat, Donkey Kong, Birdo, and Goomba were all supposed to be playable characters in Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, but were scrapped. They are, however, still in the beta version and are only available by hacking the game. The majority of the characters were later made playable in following Mario and Sonic titles. And that was 10 minutes of useless information about the Sonic franchise. Do you know any more useless information that I didn't mention in the video? Why not post it in the comments? See you later!